May our Father, Messiah, and the Holy Spirit be with us. Deuteronomy chapter 5. Moses convened all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and ordinances that I am addressing to you today. You shall learn them and observe them diligently. Our Father in heaven, our God, made a covenant with us at Horeb. Not with our ancestors did our Father in heaven make this covenant, but with us, who are all of us here alive today. Our Father in heaven spoke with you face to face at the mountain out of the fire. At that time, I was standing between our Father in heaven and you to declare to you the words of our Father in heaven. For you were afraid because of the fire and did not go up the mountain. And he said, I am your Father in heaven, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, your Father in heaven, your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the thousandth generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of your Father in heaven, your God, for your Father will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Observe the Sabbath day and keep it holy, as our Father in heaven, your God, commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to your Father in heaven, your God. You shall not do any work, you, or your son, or your daughter, or your male or female slave, or your ox, or your donkey, or any of your livestock, or the resident alien in your towns, so that your male and female slave may rest as well as you. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and our Father in heaven, your God, brought you out from there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, your Father in heaven, your God, commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, as your Father in heaven, your God, commanded you, so that your days may be long and that it may go well with you in the land that your Father in heaven, your God, is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. Neither shall you steal. Neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. Neither shall you covet your neighbor's wife. Neither shall you desire your neighbor's house or field or male or female slave or ox or donkey or anything that belongs to your neighbor. These words our Father in heaven spoke with a loud voice to your whole assembly at the mountain, out of the fire, the cloud, and the thick darkness. And he added no more. He wrote them on 2 stone tablets and gave them to me. When you heard the voice out of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, you approached me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and you said, Look, our Father in heaven, our God, has shown us this glory and greatness, has shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the fire. Today we have seen that God may speak to someone and the person may still live. So now why should we die? For this great fire will consume us if we hear the voice of our Father in heaven, our God, any longer. We shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of fire, as we have, and remained alive? Go near, you yourself, and hear all that our Father in heaven, our God, will say. Then tell us everything that our Father in heaven, our God, tells you, and we will listen and do it. Our Father in heaven heard your words when you spoke to me. And our Father in heaven said to me, I have heard the words of this people, that they have spoken to you. They are right in all they have spoken. If only they had such a mind as this, to fear me and to keep all my commandments, always, so that it might go well with them and their children forever. Go say to them, return to your tents, but you stand here by me, and I will tell you all the commandments, the statutes, and the ordinances that you shall teach them, so that they may do them in the land that I am giving them to possess. You must therefore be careful to do as your Father in heaven, your God, has commanded you. You shall not turn to the right or to the left. You must follow exactly the path that your Father in heaven, your God, has commanded you, so that you may live, and that it may go well with you, and that you may live in the land, and that you may live long in the land that you are to possess. Chapter 6. Now this is the commandment, the statutes, and the ordinances that our Father in heaven, your God, has charged me to teach you to observe in the land that you are about to cross into and occupy, so that you and your children and your children's children may fear your Father in heaven, your God, all the days of your life, and keep all his decrees and his commandments that I am commanding you, so that your days may be long. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe them diligently, so that it may go well with you, and so that you may multiply greatly in a land flowing with milk and honey, as our Father in heaven, the God of your ancestors, has promised you. Hear, O Israel, our Father in heaven is our God, our Father in heaven alone. You shall love our Father in heaven, your God, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. Keep these words that I am commanding you today in your heart. Recite them to your children, and talk about them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise. Bind them as a sign on your hand. Fix them as an emblem on your forehead, and write them on the doorposts of your house and your gates. When our Father in heaven, your God, has brought you into the land that he swore to your ancestors, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give you, a land with fine, large cities that you did not build, houses filled with all sorts of good that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. And when you have eaten your fill, take care that you do not forget our Father in heaven, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Our Father in heaven, your God, you shall fear. Him you shall serve, and by his name alone you shall swear. Do not follow other gods, any of the gods of the peoples who are all around you, because our Father in heaven, your God, who is present with you, is a jealous God. The anger of our Father in heaven, your God, will be kindled against you, and he would destroy you from the face of the earth. Do not put our Father in heaven, your God, to the test, as you tested him at Massah. You must diligently keep the commandments of our Father in heaven, your God, and his decrees and his statutes that he has commanded you. Do what is right and good in the sight of our Father in heaven, so that it may go well with you, and so that you may go in and occupy the good land that our Father in heaven swore to your ancestors to give you, thrusting out all your enemies from before you, as our Father in heaven has commanded. When your children ask you in time to come, what is the meaning of the decrees and the statutes and the ordinances that our Father in heaven, our God, has commanded you? Then you shall say to your children, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but our Father in heaven brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Our Father in heaven displayed before our eyes great and awesome signs and wonders against Egypt, against us out from there, against Pharaoh and all his household. He brought us out from there in order to bring us in, to give us the land that he promised on oath to our ancestors. Then our Father in heaven commanded us to observe all these statutes and to fear our Father in heaven, our God, for our lasting good, so as to keep us alive, as is now the case. If we diligently observe the entire commandment before our Father in heaven, our God, as he commanded us, we will be in the right. Chapter 7. When our Father in heaven, your God, brings you into the land that you are about to enter and occupy, and he clears away many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations mightier and more numerous than you. And when our Father in heaven, your God, gives them over to you to defeat them, then you must utterly destroy them. Make no covenant with them and show them no mercy. Do not intermarry with them, giving your daughters to their sons or taking their daughters for your sons, for that would turn away your children from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of our Father in heaven would be kindled against you, and he would destroy you quickly. But this is how you must deal with them: break down their altars, smash their pillars, hew down their sacred poles, and burn their idols with fire. For you are a people holy to our Father in heaven, your God. Our Father in heaven, your God, has chosen you out of all peoples on the earth to be his people, his treasured possession. It was not because you were more numerous than any other people that our Father in heaven set his heart on you and chose you, for you were the fewest of all peoples. It was because our Father in heaven loved you and kept the oath that he swore to your ancestors, that our Father in heaven has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Now, therefore, that our Father in heaven, know therefore that our Father in heaven, your God, is God, the faithful God, who maintains covenant loyalty with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and who repays in their own person who reject him. He does not delay, but repays in their own person those who reject him. Therefore, observe diligently the commandment, the statutes, and the ordinances that I am commanding you today. If you heed these ordinances by diligently observing them, our Father in heaven, your God, will maintain with you the covenant loyalty that he swore to your ancestors. He will love you, bless you, and multiply you. He will bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground, your grain and your wine and your oil, the increase of your cattle and the issue of your flock, in the land that he swore to your ancestors to give you. You shall be the most blessed of peoples, with neither sterility nor barrenness among you or your livestock. Our Father in heaven will turn away from you every illness, all the dread diseases of Egypt that you experienced. He will not inflict on you, but he will lay them on all who hate you. You shall devour all the peoples that our Father in heaven, your God, is giving over to you, showing them no pity. You shall not serve their gods, for that would be a snare to you. If you say to yourself, these nations are more numerous than I, how can I dispossess them? Do not be afraid of them. Just remember what our Father in heaven, your God, did to Pharaoh and to all of Egypt, the great trials that your eyes saw, the signs and wonders, the mighty hand and the outstretched arm by which our Father in heaven, your God, brought you out. Our Father in heaven, your God, will do the same to all the peoples of whom you are afraid. Moreover, our Father in heaven, your God, will send the pestilence against them, until even the survivors and the fugitives are destroyed. Have no dread of them, for our Father in heaven, your God, who is present with you, is a great and awesome God. Our Father in heaven, your God, will clear away these nations before you little by little. You will not be able to make a quick end of them. Otherwise, the wild animals would become too numerous for you. But our Father in heaven, your God, will give them over to you and throw them into great panic until they are destroyed. He will hand their kings over to you, and you shall blot out their name from under heaven. No one will be able to stand against you until you have destroyed them. The images of their gods you shall burn with fire. Do not covet the silver or the gold that is on them and take it for yourself, because you could be ensnared by it. For it is abhorrent to our Father in heaven, your God. Do not bring an abhorrent thing into your house, or you will be set apart for destruction like it. You must utterly detest and abhor it, for it is set apart for destruction. Chapter 8. The entire commandment that I command you today, you must diligently observe, so that you may live and increase. Promise and go in and occupy the land that our Father in heaven promised on oath to your ancestors. Remember the long way that our Father in heaven, your God, has led you these 40 years in the wilderness in order to humble you, testing you to know what is in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commandments. He humbled you by letting you hunger, then by feeding you with manna, with which neither you nor your ancestors were acquainted, in order to make you understand that one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of our Father in heaven. The clothes on your back did not wear out, and your feet did not swell these 40 years. Know then in your heart that as a parent disciplines a child, so our Father in heaven, your God, disciplines you. Therefore, keep the commandments of our Father in heaven, your God, by walking in his ways and by fearing him. For our Father in heaven, your God, is bringing you into a good land, a land flowing with streams, with springs and underground waters welling up in the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land where you may eat bread without scarcity, where you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and from whose hills you may mine copper. You shall eat your fill and bless our Father in heaven, your God, for the good land that he has given you. Take care that you do not forget our Father in heaven, your God, by failing to keep his commandments, his ordinances, and his statutes, which I am commanding you today. When you have eaten your fill and built fine houses and live in them, and when your herds and flocks have multiplied, and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then do not exalt yourself, forgetting our Father in heaven, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, who led you through the great and terrible wilderness, an arid wasteland with poisonous snakes and scorpions. He made water flow for you from flint rock, and fed you in the wilderness with manna that your ancestors did not know, to humble you and to test you, and in the end, to do you good. Do not say to yourself, my power and the might of my own hand have gotten me this wealth. But remember our Father in heaven, your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, so that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your ancestors, as he is doing today. If you do not forget our Father in heaven, your God, and follow other gods to serve and worship them, if you do forget our Father in heaven, your God, and follow other gods to serve and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you shall surely perish. Like the nations that our Father in heaven is destroying before you, so shall you perish, because you would not obey the voice of our Father in heaven, your God. Chapter 9. Hear, O Israel, you are about to cross the Jordan today, to go in and dispossess nations larger and mightier than you, great cities fortified in the heavens, a strong and tall people, the offspring of the Anakim, whom you know. You have heard it said of them, who can stand up to the Anakim? Know then today that our Father in heaven, your God, is the one who crosses over before you as a devouring fire. He will defeat them and subdue them before you, so that you may dispossess and destroy them, as our Father in heaven has promised you. When our Father in heaven, your God, thrust them out before you, do not say to yourself, it is because of my righteousness that our Father in heaven has brought me in to occupy this land. It is rather because of the wickedness of these nations that our Father in heaven is dispossessing them before you. It is not because of your righteousness or the uprightness of your heart that you are going in to occupy their land. But because of the wickedness of these nations, our Father in heaven, your God, is dispossessing them before you in order to fulfill the promise that our Father in heaven made on oath to your ancestors, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Know, then, that our Father in heaven, your God, is not giving you this good land to occupy because of your righteousness, for you are a stubborn people. Remember and do not forget how you provoked our Father in heaven, your God, to wrath in the wilderness. You have been rebellious against our Father in heaven from the day you came out of the land of Egypt until you came to this place. Even at Horeb, you provoked our Father in heaven to wrath. And our Father in heaven was so angry with you that he was ready to destroy you. When I went up to the mountain to receive the stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant that our Father in heaven made with you, I remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water. And our Father in heaven gave me 2 stone tablets written with the finger of God. On them were all the words that our Father in heaven had spoken to you at the mountain out of the fire on the day of the assembly. At the end of 40 days and 40 nights, our Father in heaven gave me 2 stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant. Then our Father in heaven said to me, get up, go down quickly from here, for your people whom you have brought from Egypt have acted corruptly. They have been quick to turn from the way that I commanded them. They have cast an image for themselves. Furthermore, our Father in heaven said to me, I have seen that this people is indeed a stubborn people. Let me alone that I may destroy them and blot out their name from under heaven. And I will make of you a nation mightier and more numerous than they. So I turned and went down from the mountain, while the mountain was ablaze. The 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. Then I saw that you had indeed sinned against our Father in heaven, your God, by casting for yourselves an image of a calf. You have been quick to turn from the way that our Father in heaven had commanded you. So I took hold of the 2 tablets and flung them from my 2 hands, smashing them before your eyes. Then I lay prostrate before our Father in heaven as before, 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water, because of all the sin that you had committed, provoking our Father in heaven by what was evil in his sight. For I was afraid that the anger of our Father in for I was afraid that the anger that our Father in heaven bore against you was so fierce that he would destroy you. But our Father in heaven listened to me that time also. Our Father in heaven was so angry with Aaron that he was ready to destroy him. But I interceded also on behalf of Aaron at that same time. Then I took the sinful thing you had made, the calf, and burned it with fire and crushed it, grinding it thoroughly until it was reduced to dust. And then I threw the dust of it into the stream that runs down the mountain. At Taberah also, and at Massa, and at Kibroth Hatavah, you provoked our Father in heaven to wrath. And when our Father in heaven sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and occupy the land that I have given you, you rebelled against the command of our Father in heaven, your God, neither trusting him nor obeying him. You have been rebellious against our Father in heaven as long as he has known you. Throughout the 40 days and 40 nights that I lay prostrate before our Father in heaven, when our Father in heaven intended to destroy you, I prayed to our Father and said, Father, God, do not destroy the people who are your very own possession, whom you redeemed in your greatness, whom you brought out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Pay no attention to the stubbornness of this people, their wickedness and their sin. Otherwise, the land from which you have brought us might say, because their Father in heaven was not able to bring them into the land that he promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to let them die in the wilderness. For they are the people of your very own possession, whom you brought out by your great power and by your outstretched arm. Father willing, we will continue with Deuteronomy chapter 10. May our Father, Messiah, and the Holy Spirit be with us. Repent. The kingdom of heaven is near. Peace.